Hey, it's Nicholas with the Backyard TARDIS here with another podcast spotlight. This time we're talking about Megavisions. And, this whole month we've been kind of celebrating the Dreamcast. So we've been doing some Sega centric podcasts. And we did the Dreamcast Junkyard, the Sega Bit Sega Talk podcast. And now we're going to talk about Megavisions. So, what is Megavisions? Well, Megavisions is a podcast that is a companion to the Megavisions magazine. And we're going to talk a bit about this, or just what is involved with that, because that's a big highlighted part of this. But Megavisions, their main podcast, and then they have Megavision Sideshow, which is the companion podcast to the companion podcast of the Megavision magazine. So in the main one, they're mostly talking about gaming. And they're predominantly talking about the Sega gaming. So what is it that interests Sega nerds? Whether it be new Sega games coming out, new hardware for retro hardware, that kind of stuff. But they talk about a lot of classic stuff as well. And then their companion show is when they're talking about all the like 80s slasher movies, stuff from Sega's heyday, which is funny because in that show, they run in completely different worlds from like the Salty Nerd podcast, which was one of the first ones I did a spotlight on, but they would sometimes cover the exact same movies, and I know they were completely different circles that they run in, but they were both had this fan of the 80s movies, and so it both be talking about Snake Plissken or something like that, Night of the Comet. Just blow my mind that these two podcasts would bring it up, and they're completely random and different. But Megavisions has a love of all things Sega and retro. And, you've got Chris Powell, Graham, it's Corkin, I think? But Graham. They just Chris, Graham, and then Scotty Moe. They're the primary ones on the podcast. And they just have fun. They just have fun and hang out. And if you're somebody who was a Sega fan back in the 90s, you're just going to have fun. Listen to that. And, when it comes to, like we were talking about Dreamcast, they recently did playthroughs of the Shenmue games leading up to the excitement of Shenmue 3 coming out. And it was interesting to get, because some of them had played it and some of them hadn't, and their frustrations with that. But and of course, you can tell I like them. I got the Megavision sticker there, their little Sonic parody stickers there. But I think what's really special is that you have podcasts that do it about a specific subject. You have podcasts by creators who are talking about their craft. But these people are a creator of a magazine that is about a specific subject that other people are podcasts of. So the podcast also has a lot to do about the magazine, the news announcements. And what I love about their magazine, compared to anything that's out there now, is that it's timeless. Stuff now, the information that they give is so shallow. It used to be that when a new game was coming out and a magazine would come out, there'd be so much thoughts, first reactions. It's kind of neat to go back and see the time capsule, what people thought before the game came out and everybody dunked on it or whatever. But this is retrospective. So everything that's in here is going to still be good in 10 years, in 20 years. And it is just a beautifully done magazine. So this one's covering Burning Rangers. And this is issue number 7. And they are just about to reboot and start back there. But they're looking back E3 2018. This is not in 2018. The looking back at the Genesis, Neo Retro, but you know, everyone's all about the new Streets of Rage. Here they're covering Streets of Rage there. And I know this is not doing this magazine justice, recording it the way I am, but and what this magazine covers is definitely Sega. So it covers classic Sega, a little bit of modern Sega. It also has like indie games that are special successors to Sega, but it also just the retro in general. So there is a little bit of, you know, Nintendo, Capcom, you know, arcades of the 80s and 90s. They are represented there. I wanted to get the main one here. So, you know, there's a look at with Burning Rangers. So that is, you know, and that's the cover article. But Burning Rangers is a Saturn game. A Saturn game most of us don't probably know much about, but it's a great game that is kind of locked away in obscurity. They deep dive into it. They've got this amazing artwork, wonderful coverage of it. They do the same thing with their podcast and their Twitch live streams. They're constantly playing these games on Twitch. They're doing a podcast where they're just shooting the breeze, talking about it, talking about upcoming articles. Really good, fun podcast. If you are a Sega fan, I definitely recommend you check this podcast out, because the Megavisions show is just a blast of nostalgia. And it's other people that get it. They get the Sega craze. They hear you, they get you, and you're going to enjoy it. So if you're a Sega fan, definitely check out Megavisions. If you're not a Sega fan, I'd still say, if like you have any interest in retro gaming or anything like that, check out this magazine. You go on their Patreon, and the nice thing is, like, the magazine's, I can't remember, I think it's about $15 an issue. Now, they're not coming out with an issue every month. They're coming out with anywhere from 2 to 4 issues a year, and they let you know in advance. So you subscribe to the Patreon, you don't get charged monthly. You get charged when an issue ships to you, and you get notified in advance that that's going to happen. So if you want to cancel, you can cancel beforehand and not get charged. So check it out. These are the kind of things that are going to be cool to have on a shelf. So definitely go check out their Patreon, check out their podcast. You'll see how fun these guys are. And with that, I will catch you in the next video.